What's up, guys? We're gonna build beats. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys how to make a sample. If you guys haven't subbed already, let's represent, just do so. It does up a lot. Let's hop right into it. So I'm gonna just go through the basic things. So BPM, I'm in halftime. If you want to make samples like this, I suggest you go slower in halftime because it's just easier to place things. Because when you have a high BPM, it's kind of hard to really listen for the little stuff. My swing, 20%. You don't have to do this. I just like doing it so I don't really have to offset too much. All right, now we just grabbing a scale. Let's do a D minor. And then I'll just show you my sounds. This is what I have: guitar or bass guitar. There's a little bell here with some delay if it'll load. All right, synth pad, some hi-hats, and the piano. Now, one thing I want you to note here is a lot of these sounds, when I pick them, they sound similar. Right, now obviously you could tell what some sounds are, but they kind of are in the same like boat or class. Like nothing really stands out. Like there's no crazy lead in here. And that is important if you want these to mesh well. So that is the sound selection. So let's move on to the first instrument. All right, so we're gonna start with the bass guitar and just go all the way in order. So my goal with this is to show people that you don't need to have a bunch of chords to make like a good sample everything, right? Because I think people are overcomplicating it, and me saying it is not working. So I have to show you, right? Just over time, I have to just show you. So do and not say. So let's go in here for the bass guitar, and let me shrink this down. And I'm gonna make this super simple, right? So we are in D minor, so let's just use that chord. That first little chord, so skip every note within the scale. So hit D, let's control D that. All right, so we could do something like this, or if you don't want to do that, you could go backwards and use that as like a bass line. So I'm gonna just kind of stretch these out like this and just fill this back in. Let's copy over. All right, simple as that. Very easy little bass line. So let's move on to our guitar. All right, so now we're going to start on our guitar. All right, and for this, I like to use the 1/6 because it kind of is the 1/4 and the 1/3 grid together, so we can kind of flip flop. So let's just use a quick little trick to kind of get our notes. Let me zoom in. So we can start on our root to make our little chord, and then we can flip the top one. And then from here, you have a range. So you can use every note within here. Right. So I'm going to just kind of maybe place this one over here. Offset this. Just combine some notes. See what this one sounds like. Okay, that's not bad, right? And you kind of gotta trust the process on this because you have so little sounds, you don't really know what it sounds like yet until you add like 4 or 3 of them, unless you choose to add some chords under. But let's take this, maybe do something like this just to keep it simple. I'm not trying to do too much on each one. Oh wait, let me pull these up. All right, so that's the guitar. So let's move on to our bell. All right. All right, so now let's do the bell. Now, what I want to do here is something a little different, which is not starting all the way on, like not starting right away all the time, right? Or in this region. So we can offset it so that it just has its own place. So like you can even just put it right here, and it's okay to just have something right here without having it repeat, right? So let's do that. So I'm gonna use these little half steps, like these little notes that are right next to each other. So let's actually use those. So I'm gonna just listen. I want to start maybe in this area. Okay, so maybe somewhere right here. And I'm gonna change to the 3rds grid so we kind of get that delay or that like bounce from it. All right, so what I did there was just create a chord backwards from this last note. So this is what I would have done. right? Let's keep moving. And let's add something right here. So I'm just copy this, just show you. And then let's use these half steps. Flip that. Okay, I think that's pretty good just for something little to do. All right, so let's move on to what do we have next? The synth pad. All right, now we have our synth pad. Now, since this sound lingers so much and has like a long release, what I'm gonna do is just probably try to stretch these notes out. So I'm gonna just use this. Let me see. We could use our root start to make it easy. Let's use that 1/4. And then let's use this A. Still think these might be two. And I'm gonna copy that and then pull this down an octave. Like I said, keep everyone simple. All right, so it's starting to come together. So now let's add these little hi-hats. All right, so now we have the live hats, and I like to use the live hats just because they're subtle and you can kind of put them in the background. You can use a kick or a snare if you want, but it'll kind of be annoying trying to take it out later if you don't want it. So I just use these. You know, real samples have drums in them, so I'm just trying to mimic that with this. So let's go in here. And I just pull this velocity up so y'all can see like me like changing it. So I'm gonna use the 1/3 step grid, and the reason I use this is so we can get a better groove when we do the chops. All right, sounds a little bit more authentic. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and place these in like some little decent spots. We can literally do this, and we can pull this all the way out and hold Control U. And if you press Control U, it'll chop it to your grid, right? So keep that in mind. So with this, now I'm gonna show you the velocity. I like to kind of just mess around with these just a little bit so it's not the same. And then with this, we can kind of hold right click, and you can kind of drag it a little bit, and you can kind of mess with a few of these so it's not perfect. All right, and then I'm gonna just drag these down. You probably won't be able to see these at this point. So let's see what it sounds like. Okay, so I think that's good. Let's copy this over and let's do our second one real quick. And this one's easy. Just kind of play it along with the one we already have. And then I'm gonna just double it up somewhere just so it's not the exact same. You know, you don't want the exact same every time. All right, so I think that's it for the live hats. Now you can obviously use other like perks or whatever you want, but I just like to use these. The last one is the piano. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so now we have our piano, and the goal here is just to kind of bring it together a bit. So now we can implement like chords and stuff. So let's just start here on our root. And I'm gonna just go backwards with this. And then I'm just gonna offset notes as I go. So maybe, what are we in the thirds? So we're in the thirds grid for this. Then maybe we can put in one of these in between notes. All right, I'm just using little tricks I've showed y'all over, you know, time. Make a chord out of this. And let's make a chord out of that E. As you can see, this is just the same chord. So I'm gonna pull this over, and I know it's looking a little weird. I'm gonna probably just color code it just so you can kind of see the different notes. And then maybe up here we can let's do a 1/4. And we can make a chord backwards from here. I'm trying to keep this simple. That's why I'm kind of explaining every step as I go. Then we can, let me see. No, I'm gonna actually replace these with different colors. So it's, we can add one more. And really right now what I'm doing is just trying out notes rather than just use the same chords to offset some of this stuff. Okay, I don't think that's too bad. All right, so now we're done with the piano. And you don't have to do this much. I just kind of want to do something a little bit more since we did so little. So now what we would want to do is add effects, right? Because this is super dry. We want to actually add reverb, maybe reverse, you know, slow it down with gross beat, and chop it up and stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I went ahead and put everything into a bus. So all I do is just, you can highlight everything here. And then when you come over here, you can highlight everything and then an extra one. And then you just right click on that bus you want, go to track routing and do route select to this track only. Everything should be routed here. All right, and this is like the same little setup I always use for like loops or samples. All right, so what we can do is just kind of delay a few of these. Just a few of them. Okay, so I put this RC20 on the piano to kind of match the mood. Because it was a little too clean, so I just threw that on. And then this is a little preset. I just turned it down a bit so it's not too harsh. Okay, and then y'all seen this plenty of times. These little presets, right? Shaper box. I only put it on the mid section. And then we have this bake preset. Now I really don't even need this, to be honest. And then we do this little cutoff. Now you could do a little bit more, but since we don't have a beat here, I'm just gonna let a little bit more through. So this is what it sounds like on, right? And this part is very important because this sounds super dry, right? But we want this to sound a little bit more interesting. So we want to add effects, right? You don't need these exactly. You can get this sound with stock plugins, but I didn't buy these plugins just to not use them. You know what I'm saying? So put these on. Right, and you can go ahead and render that out and you can mess with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so now we have our sample. So now the next step is to manipulate it. And I'm gonna just show you an easy way to do it. So you have obvious stuff, right? So I'm gonna just play it real quick. All right, so some things you could do is reverse it. I always reverse it first to just see what it sounds like. And then I'd slow it down. right? And stuff like this usually makes for good R&B beats. So I think it's good to know how to do this. So what you want to do now is change this pitch. You could do it down here, but I just like doing it up here. You want to change this range to 12. So now you can kind of pitch it how you want. And I could use that part itself for like an R&B beat or something. All right. Now, one other cool thing you could do, and I'm gonna just make this quick, is you can come up here, you can click this little icon, and you can go to chop, and you have all types of chops that you can use. I like the complex ones because they kind of fit, I guess, like rap, I guess, a little bit more. Let's just do one more just to kind of show you. Right, you can get some really cool chops with just this, and I only showed you 2 of them. There's plenty more, but I just want to make this part quick. So yeah, that's some things you can do, and obviously you can route this sample into a track and add reverb and other effects on it to really make it sound really nice. But that's it for this video, quick one. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.